Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Ariana, and thanks to everyone at Splitmetrics for organizing such a great event. I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, I think we can get just started. So I'm Nikita, CEO and founder in Crealy, like the first fully custom AI agent for creator marketing. Also, I'm founder at Lemur.io, where we do mobile apps for personal development. And my background has been in performance marketing. There, it spent 14 years of my life. Basically led performance marketing for games, gaming platforms, and even ad networks. So I led product marketing for Unity ads for 5 years. So I've had the privilege to basically both like client and the ad network side of things. And today I'm gonna speak about really interesting and innovative topic, I think, as more teams explore nowadays, myself included, and I've spent the whole last year into this one. But before we dive into the creator marketing challenges and approaches, I would want to start from basically the current situation with paid ads. And it probably won't be a surprise to anyone. Like CPMs are growing every year, and the valuations of ad networks companies like Applying, as you can see here on the slide, are growing like as well. What this creates is a challenge for advertisers to continue spending on paid, simply because if your LTV is not big enough or your payback period is not big enough, you're basically starting to getting stuck or even evaporated from the auction. But challenges create opportunities, and what happened is there is a whole new subset of consumer products emerged from this, who basically rely entirely on organic growth through TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And they don't really do paid UA pretty much, simply because they just can't afford it. But they don't really need it because the area where they operate is usually CPMs with like less than $5, or could be even low as like less than $1. And we talk about the US here. Of course, in different countries, they can be different, but we will talk entirely today about like the most competitive market out there, I think, and how to crack it using the organic strategies. So I don't really want to spend too much time talking about each individual use case. I highly encourage you to go and check out socialgraphengineers.com, which is a great source of all these case studies around apps that went viral and how they did this and what were the strategies about this one. But in this presentation, I would like to mostly provide you with a handy framework on how you can basically spin up this engine on your side, and what is required and what is needed. So before we'll go into this, I would just want to basically emphasize the growth of the creator economy. So it's a growing sector. It grows around 15 to 70% year over year, and will hit $500 billion by the end of 2030. And there are some surprising numbers here that, for example, in the US, only people who identify themselves as full-time creators, they represent around 30 million, which is like 10% of the whole population, which is like insane number. But what's more important is that 80% of so-called creators never really had a brand deal. So brand just can't discover them. And they also can't discover them because historically influencer marketing was always about having a large influencer with whom you partner with, so it's more of a kind of brand deal, right? And we all know, we are all here from the performance, so we can say that brand deals means in most cases mean that it will be really hard to justify this from the kind of ROI standpoint, or like purely revenue metrics. And I don't really want to talk about this type of the partnerships in this presentation because we'll probably all know this. What I really wanted to talk about is the kind of the deal where you can actually get the performance out of it and the actual ROI positive campaign out of it. So let's talk about like types of creators who are kind of eligible for the campaigns that I'm referring to. So first and foremost, there are micro influencers. To put it short, these are creators who have like little following, but what's more importantly, they post really often and consistent. So at least like 3 times weekly, more preferably every day, actually. So they maintain high engagement with their audience, and they're recognized as experts. So people trust them. Another type, I think, is probably way better known for the audience here, UGC creators. So essentially actors who can shoot whatever concept you give to them. You will retain like full the right to the content. You can distribute it elsewhere. And it's a very common approach nowadays to basically recruit UGC creators, shoot creatives, and then send them back to Facebook or Google paid. So that's basically how it works. But the third one, the third segment is that is emerging, I think, as we speak, is probably the most interesting one. So these are called clippers. They're obsessed with virality and all forms. So these are the people who study all the viral hooks. They experiment a lot with what goes viral, like how to supplement the video with trendy music or video or the transition, so it can generate more reach. I think what's interesting here is that those are mostly paid via CPM, and this is basically brings us to the same unified metric on how you're gonna pay to Google or Facebook, right? When you're buying paid ads through them. So with clippers, they rely entirely on existing content, so you have to produce content for them so they can make clips out of it, and they can found on platforms like Whoop, Discord servers, or Viral by MrBeast. So apps that basically go viral these days, they use all of those three types of creators in various kinds of combinations, and we will go deeper on this one going forward. So how does it work? So the whole playbook here is all about volumes. So the reality of today's world is that we all compete. Like when you post a video on TikTok, for example, you means you're competing with everyone who has been posting right now alongside with you everywhere, pretty much. So at least in your geo. So in order to stand the competition, you need to bring volume here. And in order to bring volume, you need to have a system that will allow you to basically generate this volume and this velocity. So once you will find something that goes viral, then you just need to tweak what works and scale all these bets to win. So effectively, in order to get started, you need to come up with a system that allows you to first produce and second test enormous amount of videos at scale. So the math here is quite simple, yet compounding over time. So think of you're paying like $300 to $600 per 30 videos. So it should be around like $10 to $20 per video. Then you need to hire at least 30 to 50 creators. And in reality, you need to hire even more because you will always have a churn of, weak ones. And you also need to additionally reward like the ones who perform well. So think of it as like at least 900 to 1500 videos per month that should be generated through this small army of creators, if you can put it this way. As I said, like 1% even less go viral. So you can basically think of like 9 to 15 videos with 50x to 100x uplift to median views. This is what you can expect. And basically beating median views is what you think is something that you need to think about, right? So median is your enemy in this regard. If you will do this all that like this, then the CPM basically will go into like less than $5 territory, sometimes even less than $1. And I think the best part here is that you can repurpose all these videos with AI. You can use them again in paid. If you see that it goes well organically, you can, of course, put on some tap on this using paid. So there's a lot of different ways on how you can basically repurpose these videos. So yeah, the goal is basically like this. So how you can find those guys? Very good question. So first and foremost, you can go and find them manually, very labor intensive. Cannot recommend, but this is how actually most people do this. So you just go on TikTok and you find them using the themes that you find are relevant for your product. The second one will be job boards like Fiverr or Upwork. There are quite a few people there, but usually it's really hard to do this at scale. So you can hire like maybe 1, 2, 3 to get started, but definitely not dozens. How you can do this another way will be UGC agencies. So there are a lot of agencies on the market that basically allow you to recruit the people who they're already pre-recruited for you. Much easier, but of course it comes with a cost of like operational cost that you need to pay to the agencies. And last but not least, there are a lot of influencer marketing platforms that allow you to basically source and recruit those people directly. And honestly, I think from the kind of scale standpoint, I think this is probably the easiest way, especially if you want to be also cost effective. In terms of metrics, this slide is more about like micro influencers, simply because if we talk about UGC creators or clippers, we don't really care about their metrics, right? We just care about other, do they want to do the job for the resource, for the funds that we have for them. But with micro influencers, it's completely different because we are buying their audience. So we have to care about this at all. So first, creator will try to sell you followers. Never buy this in. So always buy median views. I think this is like the only one realistic metric which I think makes sense. Of course, you need to think about like audience. So my recommendation is always request audience data from the creator directly when you talk to them, because audience numbers can change greatly based on based on dynamics and time and like videos posted. So think of the age, of course, like the ratio in locations, and really good tip to look also at the proportion of iOS viewers, because the more the percentage is on iOS, the more payable the users usually are. Of course, think about consistency. I think this is a very crucial part, because if you see that someone's made like 1,000 video on their account, they post every day, obviously they're a hardworking person, right? So I would rather partner with somebody like that person, because I would understand that they treat their job like extremely serious. Making one video per day is actually really hard work. I would never do this, to be honest. So definitely not my thing, but I highly appreciate people who can. And of course, real engagement, real comments, all of that. But this is pretty kind of self-explanatory. In terms of pricing, so pricing is a really good question, I guess. I would say that honestly, on this market, in this industry, the pricing is a complete Wild West. So creators typically try to give you the first offer, which is usually a little bit off the chart and off anything sensible. So, but my experience says that you can actually negotiate, and you can negotiate quite well. In my experience, we have had lots of cases where it was just like a 5K ask from the very beginning, but then we close a deal for $500, which is like 10x smaller. So don't be shy, just negotiate, be really explain why the offer is like this, anchor it to your vertical average CPM, for example, or to the median views that this creator has, and also offer them. My recommendation is offer them like CPM bonuses based on median views. So, for example, the median is, let's say, 10K, but if you beat the 10K with the video by, let's say, 2x, we're gonna pay you extra. If you will beat the median by 10x, we're gonna pay you extra. Something like this. So that's how you can basically incentivize the creator to try to put their best in order to make the video that will perform the best. And of course, don't be afraid to walk away, right? It's not like you should be able to close every deal. Some deals are never meant to be done, so it's completely normal. Other ideas on how to basically trim the pricing also to the areas which is more preferable to you. As I said, right, try to pay for beating median. Also, always introduce referral bonuses, because it's much cheaper to actually enable creator to invite you to some other creator, and that creator can get a referral bonus for that. Another thing is revenue share. Honestly, many teams with whom I talk to, they think of like, hey, yes, we're gonna go out, we're gonna invite creators to our affiliate program, we're gonna pay them just on a pure performance basis. To be honest, it doesn't really work, because creator is not really interested to spend their time and their effort without even understanding your funnel, without even understanding how your product performs and what would be the actual performance, right? So my recommendation is try to sign like small flat fees plus CPM bonuses from the get-go. And if there is a performance, then usually revenue share is really warmly welcomed if it's a second collaboration, for example, with the same creator. And of course, think of like gamification, because if you can basically put together 30 creators in one WhatsApp chat, for example, and then put some sort of a leaderboard and grant an additional bonus to somebody who made, like, let's say, the biggest reach for the previous month, this is also like a very good competition, which incentivizes everyone to do their best jobs. And I think very interesting part here is that in creator marketing, unlike in paid, right, where you always bid in real-time auction, you can actually buy in bulk in advance. So, for example, right now we are stepping into December, right, in Q5. So of course, all the prices for advertising go up, and influencers are not, of course, they know about it, so they're not the exception. But you can basically right now you can go out to them and let's say buy like, let's say 5 videos, and negotiate like a bulk deal, so you can trim down the cost per one post, and then you can save those videos and they basically spread them during the high seasons without any additional cost imposed to you. So very handy. This is how quite a few of our customers do, and I think this is really good. And here we comes to like, okay, we basically found some creators, we negotiated some deals with them, but what should they produce? And to be honest with you, there is no silver bullet. If only I knew. If only I knew. So I think it really depends highly on every vertical and every product, but there are some kind of good bullet points to kind of think about all the time and keep in mind around what would be the great brief for your particular product. So first and foremost, always separate the hook from the actual content of the video and experiment with hooks in parallel with the video itself and with the closing call to action. So this is very important. And basically the hook is probably the biggest kind of lever in terms of how you can attract and how you can make somebody engaging with your video from the get-go. Keep the video quite short and keep it super visual. I think a lot of products fail with creator marketing simply because they just can't explain what their product do in a visually appealing format. Because, you know, if your app is all about text, for example, if you just need to read a lot of texts, then it's going to be really complicated to explain the value of the product in just 50 seconds because nobody is going to read, you know, all of these texts. So that's a very important part. And of course, everything which is like, you know, controversial, bold claims, like visual shocking content, this all usually works really, really well. But of course, we all knew this from the social media and in general. And I think also where many teams fail is the call to action part, because then you're basically, then you post a video to social media like TikTok, you're basically competing with TikTok and with the feed on TikTok, because that person usually, like, you know, they're in this kind of more or less blind kind of flow where you just like scroll the videos, you get those dopamine hits, and your call to action must be valuable enough to leave, you know, this kind of flow where you're at right now. So the value must be valuable. It must be immediate, right? So it's not like, you know, this is a cool product for you that you can check out later in 1 week. No, you must check it really now because it must solve your pain really, really now. So I would say that it won't fit some verticals, but for some verticals, like, let's say, like health and fitness, or like personal development, or like relationships, or like photo editors or video editors, yeah, like all of this works really, really good. Right. So in terms of how does the pipeline looks like with creators? So first and foremost, creators are not the most responsive and also responsible people on earth. And basically, like, the reality looks in a way that in order to sign, let's say, 20 to 30 creators, usually you need to at least reach 1,000. And of course, if you will do this manually, you will be in large trouble. So the idea is that you need to have systems that allow you to automate the basically creation of this pipeline. And that's very important, because think of it, if you want to have around like at least 30 to 50 creators, then you need to have at least 10 to 15 new ones coming in, because you will always let go like 10 to 15, like the weakest ones every month. So in order to build this kind of momentum and keep this momentum going, you need to have a proper pipeline. And yeah, so how to automate it? There are a lot of different things that you need to think about and automate along the way. So first, you need to source things and do it at mass. And you need to focus on content, even not even about like the creators per se, but the content that they produce. So you either need to use like various parsers that you can find on the internet, or like just buy data directly and buy access to these creator databases that some of the influencer marketing platform can offer to you. And the data set is not enough. So once you have access to it, then you need to basically build a system around outreach. And then if there's a completely different challenge, because if you want to send, let's say, 1,000 emails a day, or maybe like 10,000 emails per day, then you need to have domains. Then you need to think about how to make sure you're not flagged as a spam. You need to warm up those domains. So you need to have systems for that as well. Of course, automated follow-ups are also a must, because what I learned when I worked with quite a few influencer marketing teams, that at least 30% of their time just goes for follow-ups. You just go and follow up to people who you sent an email to or a DM to, and they never respond back to you. So follow-ups are also important, and they have to be automated. So another part is audience insights. So the problem with creator marketing is that most platforms give you actually an outdated data, because they collected in someone in the past. And as we know, the dynamics of this market is that you can just have like one video that went viral, and your whole audience basically changed suddenly from the US, let's say, to Mexico or something like this. So the best is to request screenshots directly from influencer. Like very few will fake them. So I don't think that you should be thinking about this a lot. So just request data directly from influencer, and always cross-check and it with the platform where you pull the data, just to see the discrepancy. Same goes with briefs. So brief must be really short. People don't really like to read these days, especially ones who post short form content. So it must be really short. It must explain everything really straightforward. And for that, like, of course, I highly recommend to use just like a custom GPT or like Cloud project or something, where you can have like a template which you can just repurpose every one on one. Second thing, like the next thing up, is contracts. Contracts actually is the worst. And contracts, again, this is something that people don't really read, or they try to read, or they just skip. Right. So regarding the contracts, effectively, my honest advice is just try to avoid them at any cost. So what we did with our apps, for example, we just made self-invoices for us, and we just paid using like PayPal, which basically covers 99% of cases. But with contracts, yeah, the conversion will be killed there. So that's a problematic part. So work with your legal team to see how you can avoid it at all costs, because many creators will just get lost, because we just don't want to read all this wording, and very boring. So another part which is very important are personalized offers. So there is no one size fits all. So think of basically offers that are based on median views, and that must be done personally for every influencer. So that's very important. And as I mentioned, promote best and fire week fast enough. You need to have a good momentum, and only the strongest survive in this. And of course, reward outstanding results. So this is probably the most important part. So your pricing strategy should be around, starting small, but reward big results. One of the quick case studies that I really want to talk about it is basically one of our customers, the company called Peach. It's a voice-to-text AI app, and they basically run organically since I know them for at least more than almost a year already. And first they were able to work manually only with like 10 to 15 ambassadors. And once they applied automations of both sourcing, both outreach and negotiation and all of that, they were able to basically almost double like more than doubled amount the ambassadors. This is how small creators are called in this niche in just 1 month. And yeah, so that's basically where automation can bring you. And I already like spoke with many teams who has like 100 creators or like 200 creators working for them. So that's pretty fascinating to see how far you can go with a proper system in place that allows you to do so. And last but not least, we are all performance guys here, I guess. And tracking is probably by far the biggest question that everyone asks me about. And this is quite tricky because think of it this way, right? So you're paying to Facebook or Google or TikTok directly through their ad manager's solution. And you're basically paying for what, right? You're paying for serving links, right? Through the algorithm that understands who to show the link attributed with the creative. So once you try to basically invest into organic and pay directly to creators so they can post videos about your brand or your product, then tracking becomes problematic simply because if you will add a tracking link there under the post, for example, usually it's very unlikely that this content will go viral, unfortunately, because of course the social media platforms will just downgrade it simply because there is a link attached to it. So the workarounds are all around using promo codes, for example, and you can use web funnels in order to serve those promo codes directly even before the install happens. These promo codes must have a significant discount shown inside the video and bio. Another workaround is around showing tracking links in bio. But to be completely honest with you, still, like most teams, look at the performance mostly from the incremental uplift standpoint, right? Because you have the videos coming in, you know from which geos they're coming from. So you can basically attribute the uplift in search or in direct visits on your website in a particular day from a particular geo if you had a viral video went live, for example, yesterday there. You're right. I think that's pretty much it. So the only one last thing that I really wanted to talk about is just a few tricks on how to get, like, how to go into this rabbit hole even further, and how like the winning products get results such as like even less than $1 CPM in the US. So like, for example, $0.50 or even smaller than this. And here you must be really, really creative. So one of the approaches is basically set up your own network of accounts and post faceless content there. Like faceless content, like on this slide, works really, really well. So you don't really need to have an actual creator doing this. And you can create like that content and slideshows like this using AI workflows, relatively cheap and at scale. Another one would be arbitrage of, where to produce content versus where to post. So for example, you can hire in Philippines, creators will then make videos, upload them to Google Drive, and then you will give it to creators based out in the US who will just post it. Third one would be to supplement the same creators with, again, faceless content that you created in-house. So half of the posts in this account will be, produced by a UGC creator, like another one will be pre-made by you. So this is how you can also trim down the cost. And of course, you can reuse winning content, like all the social media, basically, like for example, let's say TikTok or Instagram, they're pretty much the same in this. They have systems that track what is the video, not only what is the video is all about, but what are the video parameters, such as resolution, such as size of it, speed of it. So if you will change all these parameters automatically using, Python scripts or, well, there are SaaS products for that as well, then you can just re-upload the winning video over and over and over again. And last but not least, you can try to localize, so you can win in less crowded languages, because English is probably the most competitive language out there. And if you have a good video, you can just try to put it on different languages. And if there are a lot of cases where the video in English was like mediocre, but let's say in Spanish it just went viral simply because there was little to none less competition compared to English in there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm done with the time as well. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. It was a lot to share in a very limited amount of time. Yeah, and if you're interested, so you can basically click on the link or use the QR code and take a look at what we built, because what we built is precisely for that particular use case, and many more. Thank you.
Nikita. Thanks to you and to everyone who's still with us. We see a question in the chat. Maybe you want to cover it as well, just before we wrap up the session. Any tips for influencer marketing platforms which are tested and works?
Oh yeah, this is a really good question. So there are quite a few of them there. It would be hard to say. It really depends on the goal. So they're all like different. Some of them, for example, allow you to pay. Some of them doesn't allow you to pay. Some of them have better data sets, in my opinion. Some of them have like more or less worse data sets. So I think if we are here to call out numbers, I would say the Hype Auditor is quite well known and quite a good one, in my opinion. So Collapser is good one. Incense is good one. So it really depends, because they're all a little bit different. Most of them are optimized towards connecting you with like large influencers or large brands with like large marketing budgets. We are, for example, in contrary here, we are trying to connect you with like smaller creators, but at scale, because obviously you need to have a scale. My honest advice would be always cross-check the data that they give to you. Never take anything for granted. So I think that's very important.
Thank you. And thanks for the question also. Thanks to everyone who's still with us. This has been, I think, a session packed with great insights. So keep an eye on your inbox, where we will send the recording with all the content shared, so you can go through it at your own pace, obviously, and definitely reach out to the Crealy team if you are into learning more about it. I have to say, what a great way to close out this first day of Wrap Growth Week event. Thank you so much for spending today with us. Nikita, once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. We are surely meeting tomorrow at the same time with exciting presentations with other industry speakers and some great insights as well that you'll want to take away. So we'll are covering a lot of around creatives, AI within market expansion and in scaling non